Welcome again everyone. In the series of solution of NET papers of June and December 2019, our today's video is all about artificial intelligence questions. It was again a very important subject. So let us start with our video. Our first question is, which of the following is an example of unsupervised neural network? Options are backpropagation network, Hebb network, associative memory network, self-organizing feature map. Among these four options, self-organizing feature map is unsupervised neural network. Next is a very easy question. Which of the following option represents shortcomings of Hill-Klembing algorithm? We are given three conditions: trapping at local maxima, reaching a plateau, traversal along the ridge. Now all these three are shortcomings of Hill-Klembing algorithm. Now what is local maxima? In this example, this point at the peak of small triangle is local maxima. Reaching a plateau means we are at the flat surface. So this is a plateau. And last is ridge. It is in the form of up and down, up and down, and up and down. So all these three are shortcomings of this algorithm. Next is, which of the following are algorithms? A is evolution, selection, reproduction, mutation. Now all these are found in genetic algorithm. We have evolution, selection, reproduction, as well as mutation. So this was a very basic question. The strip's representation is, options are a feature-centric representation, an action-centric representation, a combination of feature-centric and action-centric representation, a hierarchical feature-centric representation. Now first we need to know what is STRIPS. Its full form is Stanford Research Institute Problem Solver. This was the planner used in one of the first robots built on AI technology. Name of that robot was Shaky. Now STRIPS representation is an action-centric representation where for each action specifies when the action can occur and the effects of the action. So our correct answer will be an action-centric representation. So just do remember, Shaky was the name of that robot. What is the full form of STRIPS? And this is an action-centric representation. Next is match list 1 with list 2. In list 1, we are given three algorithms: greedy best first, lowest cost first, A-star algorithm. In list 2 is given the cost of these algorithms. Here we are using two functions. One is cost function and another one is heuristic function. Now HP is heuristic cost from current node to goal node, and cost function is cost to reach that node. Now greedy best first will be matched with second option in list 2, that is minimal heuristic cost. Lowest cost first, it will be matched with option 3 in list 2, that is minimal cost to reach that node. And last, A-star algorithm will be matched with first, that is minimal of cost plus heuristic cost. So that will be the correct matching. Now this is a very interesting question. K-mean clustering algorithm has clustered the given 8 observations into 3 clusters after first iteration. Now we are given 3 clusters C1, C2, C3 with their observations. What will be the Manhattan distance for observation 4, 4 from cluster centroid C1 in second iteration? These are our options: 2, square root of 2, 0, 18. Now first we need to understand how to calculate Manhattan distance. Say we are given 2 points P1 and P2. Say P1 is at location 1, 1 and P2 is at 5, 4. Now we have two terminology here. First is Euclidean distance and second is Manhattan distance. Manhattan distance captures the distance between 2 points by aggregating the pairwise absolute difference between each variable, while Euclidean distance captures the same by aggregating the squared difference in each variable. Like for these 2 points, Euclidean difference will be square root of 5 minus 1 square, that is x value of P2 minus P1, then whole square, plus 4 minus 1 square. But in case of Manhattan distance, it will be direct, that is x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1. So in this question we need to calculate Manhattan distance. Our one point is 4, 4, which is given in the question. Now second point is centroid of cluster 1. Now we are given a cluster 1 with 3 observations. We have to find the centroid of this cluster. Now to find the centroid, we need to find the average of these points. Let us first compute the x value of C1. This is our centroid C with values x and y. We have to find these two values. For x, we will take x value of first observation, second observation and third observation, then find the average or mean of these values, that is 3 plus 5 plus 7 divide by 3. 3 plus 5 will be 8 plus 7 15. 15 divided by 3 will be 5. So x position will be 5. Now for y, again we will use same method. y1 is 3, y2 is 5 and y3 is 7. Same value, take the average of these three values, that is 3 plus 5 plus 7 divided by 3. So y value will be 5 also. Now we have our 2 points. First is centroid of cluster 1, that is 5, 5, and second point is our observation 4, 4. Now for these 2 points we have to find Manhattan distance. So it will be 5 minus 4 with the absolute values plus 5 minus 4, right? So it will be 1 plus 1, that is 2. So our correct answer will be option 1. Just remember these two formulas. One is for Manhattan distance and second is for Euclidean distance. Next is, which of the following is or are defuzzification methods? M1 is mean of maximum, M2 is center of area, M3 height method. Now all these three methods are defuzzification method. We have many defuzzification methods, which are center of sum method, center of gravity, center of area, weighted average method. We have many height methods, first of maxima, last of maxima, mean of maxima. So all M1, M2 and M3 are defuzzification method. So right answer will be option 4, M1, M2 and M3. Next is, reinforcement learning can be formalized in terms of dash, in which the agent initially only knows the set of possible dash and the set of possible actions. Now our options are, option 1 is Markov decision process, objects, hidden states and objects, Markov decision processes and states, objects and states. Now right answer will be option 3. Reinforcement learning can be formalized in terms of Markov decision processes, in which the agent initially only knows the set of possible states and the set of possible actions. Next is consider the following learning algorithms. We are given three algorithms: logistic regression, backpropagation, linear regression. Which of the following option represents classification algorithms? Now among these three, only A and B represents classification algorithm. Linear regression is not a classification algorithm. Consider the following models. M1 is Mamdani model, M2 is Takagi-Sugeno-Kang model, M3 is Cosco's additive model. Which of the following option contains examples of additive rule model? Now among these three, M1, that is Mamdani model, does not contain examples of additive rule model. Rest two, that is Takagi-Sugeno and Cosco's additive model, they contains example of additive rule model. So right answer will be M2 and M3. Now this was direct question. Let Wij represents weight between node I at layer K and node J at previous layer, that is K minus 1, of a given multi-layer perceptron. The weight updation using gradient descent method is given by, we are given four options. Now if we use gradient descent method, weight updation will be Wij at t plus 1, that is updated weight, that is we will update next weight as previous weight, that is weight at time t, minus alpha, that is our learning rate, delta of E, that is our error, divided by delta of Wij, that is change in weight. Change in error divided by change in weight. So right answer will be option B. If you are familiar with gradient descent method, then you can easily answer this question. Otherwise, it is quite hard to know what will be the right answer. Next is, according to Dempster-Shafer theory for uncertainty management, belief of A plus belief of negation of A is less than equals to 1, it is greater than equals to 1, it is equals to 1, or it is equals to 0. Now belief of event A plus belief of negation of A will be equal to 1. Now this is quite easy question. If you are familiar with genetic algorithm, how do we calculate strength or fitness function, then you can easily answer this question. And the question is, let the population of chromosomes in genetic algorithm is represented in terms of binary number. The strength of fitness of a chromosomes in decimal form is given by a formula where strength of fitness is equals to fitness function of x divided by sum of all fitness functions of chromosomes, where fitness function is defined as fx equals to x square. The population is given by P, where we are given 4 chromosomes. The strength of fitness of chromosome with binary value 11100 is. Now we have to find the strength of fitness of this chromosome. So first we will make it in a table form. Here first column represents population, that is given in this question. We are given 4 chromosomes, so we will represent it using 4 rows. Now fitness function and strength of fitness function is given in decimal form only. So first we will convert these chromosomes into decimal form. We are given in binary form, we will convert it into decimal. So first is 01101. Just pause the video, convert these binary numbers into decimal numbers. Simple. So it will be like, for first it will be 13. Then if you calculate it, next will be 24, then 8, and then 19. Right? You will be getting the same answer. Next, fitness function for this x value is x square, which is given in the question. So we just need to square these values and we will get the fitness of these chromosomes. So square of 13, it will be 169. Square of 24, it will be 576. Square of 8, 64. Square of 19, it will be 361. Right? Now we have to calculate the strength of second chromosome. Now we are given strength fitness function. It is fx divided by summation of all fitness function. Now fx, that is fitness function of this particular chromosome, for which we have to find the strength. So fitness value of this chromosome is 576, right? Divide by summation or sum of all fitness functions. So we have to add all these fitness function values, right? When we add these values, we will get 1170. Just put this value in the function. Strength of fitness function equals to fx, that is 576, divided by summation of all fitness values, that is 1170. When we divide these two values, we will get 0.492. So strength of fitness will be 49.2%. So our right answer will be option D. We had two questions from fuzzy set in June exam and one was in December exam. So this is also a very important topic. You will definitely get one question from fuzzy set. Let A alpha naught denotes the alpha cut, also known as lambda cut, of a fuzzy set A at alpha naught if alpha 1 is less than alpha 2. Then A alpha 1, that is alpha 1 cut of fuzzy set A, is a superset of A alpha 2. A alpha 2 is superset of A alpha 1. So all we have to do is we have to find the relationship between fuzzy set with alpha cut as alpha 1 and alpha 2, right? So first let us understand what is alpha cut. It is a method to transform fuzzy set into crisp set, right? So let us take an example. Say this set A is our fuzzy set with 4 values x1, x2, x3 and x4. Their membership value is also given, that is 0.9, 0.5, 0.4 and 0.2 respectively. So this is our fuzzy set. Now say value of alpha 1 is 0.3. Fine. So for 0.3, this is our alpha 1. Now this set A will contain all those members of A which have membership value or membership function greater than or equal to 0.3. That is, it will include x1 because its membership value is 0.9, that is greater than 0.3. It will include x2 as well as x3. It will not include x4, right? That is how lambda cut or alpha cut works. So it will be like this. So this set will contain x1, x2 and x3. Now let us say value of alpha 2 is 0.6. Now for this 0.6, this set will contain only a single value, that is x1, because for all other values membership function value is less than 0.6. So here we can see that fuzzy set with alpha cut value as 0.3 is a superset of fuzzy set with alpha cut value 0.6. So our right answer will be option 1. Our next question is a fuzzy conjunction operator denoted as TXY and a fuzzy disjunction operator denoted as SXY form a dual pair if they satisfy the condition. Now for these two operators, conjunction and disjunction, to form a dual pair, what should be our condition? This is a very basic question. Now according to principle of duality between fuzzy conjunction operator, that is T, and fuzzy disjunction operator, that is S, they form a dual pair if they satisfy the following condition. That condition is 1 minus Txy equals to S 1 minus x 1 minus y. Now if you see our options, on left hand side we have only Txy. So if we rearrange this equation, so Txy will be equals to 1 minus S of 1 minus x 1 minus y. That is option 3. This was direct question. Just remember this equation of duality. Now this was asked in June exam. Based on same principle of duality, one more question was asked in December exam. That question was, a fuzzy conjunction operator Txy and a fuzzy disjunction operator Sxy form a pair if they satisfy this condition. We have just checked this condition. That was our answer in previous question. If now we are given a value of Txy, if Txy is equals to xy divided by x plus y minus xy, then what will be the value of Sxy? Now this question might appear from fuzzy set, but it is pure mathematical question. All you have to do is put the value of Txy in the given equation, then solve it, and you will get the value of Sxy at the end. Let us do this. Now this is our equation which is given in the question for duality principle. We are given value of Txy, just put this value in this equation. So it will be like this. Xy divided by x plus y minus xy will be equal to 1 minus S of 1 minus x 1 minus y, right? Now just exchange these two positions. We will put S on left hand side and xy in right hand side. It will be like this. Just calculate this equation, 1 minus xy divided by x plus y minus xy. Just solve it and we will get this equation, right? Just pause the video, do it yourself, you will get the right answer. Now at this point, what should we do? How should we proceed further? Now we will put 1 minus x as m and 1 minus y as n. Put 1 minus x equals to m and 1 minus y equals to m. So here we will put m, here we will put n. So value of x will be, when 1 minus x is equals to m, then x will be equals to 1 minus m, right? And y will be equals to 1 minus n. All we are doing is replacing 1 minus x with m, 1 minus y with n, right? When we do this, we will get this equation. Just pause the video, solve it. All you have to do is some addition, subtraction and multiplication. And at the end, you will get this equation. This is our desired answer. Now just replace m with x and n with y. And this equation will look like our option B. X plus y minus 2xy divided by 1 minus xy, right? Now if we further replace m with x, n with y, we will get our answer. And if you have any doubt, you can ask in comment section. That was our last question from this video. I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you all for watching this.